We have heard Paul say that we should not repay evil for evil, or even seek vengeance against any other person that has mistreated us. So in verse 20, Paul actually goes one step farther here in Romans chapter 12. Good morning, I'm Pastor Ernie Lewis of the Blue Point Church in Sisney, Illinois, with your thoughts for Tuesday. Sometimes we read the word enemy and perhaps immediately someone comes to mind, not because we consider them as an enemy, but because they've treated us as an enemy, or maybe they've not been very kind to us. So Paul speaks to the church on how we should treat that person. Now, we would immediately think that we need to shun them, avoid them at all costs. Or maybe we even consider some other ways we could repay their looks and their actions toward us. But instead, Paul says in Romans chapter 12 and verse 20, therefore, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him a drink. For in so doing, you will heap coals of fire on his head. There are not many people that would withhold something from anyone in some bad circumstances. But what about that person who has treated us wrongly and considered us as their enemy? When Paul finishes talking about not repaying evil for evil or not seeking vengeance, he starts the very next sentence with the word therefore, meaning that we understand the things that we should not do towards those considered as our enemies. So how should we act around them instead of the ways that the world teaches us to do? First of all, he says, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. Well, that is what we would do for any human being, right? If we saw that they had some definite need. But feeding someone is such a gesture of love and mercy that they really can't miss that. It doesn't matter how they react to such kindness, because we are not doing it for their thank you or some notable appreciation. We are actually following God's direction for his followers in treating others this way. He also says, if he is thirsty, give him a drink. Again, we are simply meeting the basic needs of another individual, but that will not go unnoticed. They will first think there is an ulterior motive going on here, that why is my enemy being so kind and so helpful toward me? Or perhaps this person is expecting me to change from my attitude about them. Not going to happen, right? We're not trying to change them. We are not acting in a way that is easy for us either. But this is what the Lord commands us to do in living in this evil world with enemies all around us. So Paul explains, for in so doing, you will heap coals of fire on his head. Does this mean that we're doing things in order to be mean and destructive against others? No. We are actually doing this kind act, but in some way or another, it's going to change their thinking or their attitude. And they're going to be so upset, maybe even more upset than they were with us in the beginning, because they just don't understand kind acts from a Christian follower.